They're making a big move.
Hey!
They're making a big move.
Get the sign out for Mike.
No, I came back from Combine.
He's on the good side. We did talk to an NFL GM.
Yes.
And I asked.
Not Brandon Bean.
Not Brandon Bean.
We did talk to him, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He pretty much agreed with me that the salary cap wasn't real. Mike was giving me the look like, you're going to say it, aren't you? like, you're going to go up to this NFL GM and you're going to do your bit, aren't you?
Yes.
And I was like, it was like a dog when you hold a treat in front of his face. I was like, yeah, you bet I was going to do it.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. All right, this podcast, we are under a week away from NFL free agency. We're going to get into what this team could do, where they're at now. Don't take the one shot, go back to the three shot. I am hungover from my bachelorette party. We'll get to that later.
Wait a minute. You've been home for
a day.
And you're still... How was it?
It was fun.
Just can't drink like you used to.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, so let's talk about where this team is at. And
there's going to have to be one shots.
Let's talk about where they are now, Michael.
Yeah. You know, they're in an odd spot because they don't have a lot of free agents that they have to bring back. They could choose to. We could let them go out there on the open market, see what's there, and bring them back. A lot of the focus has been on guys who are under contract going into the last year. They already got Shakir done. So they're in that spot. Yes, they have moves to make to get under the cap, and they will do that. But yes, but at the same time, it's not like it has been other times where you're like, oh boy, is this guy going to hit the market? What are they going to do? I'm a little fascinated to see how interested they are in some of their own guys before they make the move. Guys everybody wants back, like Mack Hollins. Guys they could want back, like Rasul Douglas. And I think the stuff about redoing the other guys, including Cook and, Bernard and whatever they do, I think that can wait a little bit. I think they can make that work. That doesn't need to be done before next week.
The salary cap, right? They can maneuver it after signings. Like they can. It's funny. CeeDee Lamb we're recording this on Tuesday. They swipe a pen and poof, the Dallas Cowboys have $20 million under the salary cap. So that's
Dak Prescott is at, I think, 90 million.
Yeah.
With one sweep of the pen, I think they take it down to 50.
It's crazy how that salary cap, it's almost like it's not
all right,
real.
I leave you gentlemen for like a week. All right.
I don't want to get locked onto that. Let's just keep going.
Let's just keep moving forward.
Let's talk then. What do we think of, with free agency ahead?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times we do think about just some of the guys that they could sign, and players that are not haven't been a part of this Bills team. But Dan, what do you think they do with some of the guys? Like what do they do with Ty Johnson? What do they do with Rasul? What do they do with some of these players that I think have had time in Buffalo? But does that mean they're coming back?
Well, the interesting one to me is Ty, because that to me tips their hand maybe a little bit of where they still see that running back room. Because James Cook's wanting to be paid like a 3-down back of a feature offense, which he is a massive part. We have talked about it ad nauseum, how much of a playmaker he is for that offense. But he doesn't play on third downs. That has been Ty Johnson's role. That is the niche that he has earned and carved out. I went back through just looking at games, filing the games from this year. How many plays Ty Johnson made in the passing game where you went, wow, that play was dead, but Ty Johnson's there. And he joked around about it, that Josh has called him the best third down back in the league. Ty's said that at times he forgets to actually run routes because he's in awe of Josh and just kind of goes, oh, I actually gotta go this way. I actually gotta become a target for him. So if they invest in Ty, I think it doesn't hurt James Cook's contract, but I still think that means they still don't see James as that guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think that's fair. I think that would indicate, because if you're going to pay one guy to be the guy, you're not going to pay another guy a decent amount of money.
Well, you're not going to pay, if you're going to pay Ty to be your third down back, then
You're not going to have,
you're not going to have
the money.
James to be, you're kind of saying what we think of James in the grand scheme. And we've talked about his contract and him wanting $15 million and all those things. But there are flaws. For as much as he's improved his game, I feel like I'm not trying to nitpick James Cook's game, but when you're asking for Christian McCaffrey money, you got to be doing all of the things that those guys do.
Let's stay with Ty Johnson, though, because I don't think anybody would know what his value is. His value is whatever somebody else would be willing to pay him. So I would be surprised, and maybe I'm wrong, that they would sign Ty Johnson before they let him look on the open market. Because if you're Ty Johnson, if there is a deal out there and somebody wants to pay you more, maybe than the Bills would, you got to take the money. Like 100%. He hasn't made it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a number that the Bills would go, this is, and unless, to your point, unless they go, oh no, he's very valuable to us. We'll pay him.
He's a part of our plans.
A little bit more, at least for another year. But then Ty Johnson's, because, look, a lot of times he is a, quote, backup player. I know he's a third down guy.
Right.
Is there somebody who wants to give him more of a role and in turn more money? I don't know if he's that guy. I think he's really good at what he does, but I don't know if he is that guy. So I wonder what he's thinking. It was like, I put up some pretty good plays.
Well, and I guess.
Does he say, let me wait. Let me see what's out there. Maybe he comes back and talks to the Bills if they're interested in keeping him that way.
But don't you also feel like his value in Buffalo is more than it may be elsewhere, in the sense of, I look back, and again, I know we've talked about the play calling, the personnel, all of those decisions on the final drive. Ty Johnson was out there with the Bills' season was on the line.
Yes.
That tells you what they think of Ty Johnson. Yeah. That is the trust and the faith that they have in him. So to some respects, it's kind of like we've said, like, hey, Khalil's more valuable in Buffalo than he may be elsewhere. Is Ty Johnson another one of those guys? I know he's not a starter, like you said, and I've even kind of joked with him, like, it's kind of a backhanded compliment to say you're the best third down back, because it means like you're the best pinch hitter. It's like, well, it means you're not good enough to be in the lineup every day, but you're really good at what you do. So it's kind of, it is a weird compliment to give him, but I just look at that and I go, he has a role and a niche in this offense that they value pretty highly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Janet, don't you think what he does is pretty transferable? I mean, he's a route runner and a protector. Like, every team wants a guy like that. I'm not saying they're going to give him a ton of money, but I'm saying he's great with the Bills. I think there's a lot of places where his skill set for that amount of money would work.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I do think that Ty Johnson would be more valuable in Buffalo because what he has shown, the level of connection he has with Josh Allen. I think of that Detroit game.
Yeah.
And like how he took that game over and how impactful he was and how a huge piece of the offense was him and what he was able to do. And then also I think of, but you're right. Like, I never am going to, discredit a player for looking into the money and seeing how they can make the most that they possibly can. But I do agree that I wouldn't be shocked if he was like, you know what, I want to test the market, but always had Buffalo in mind of, if it's comparable, I'll go back to Orchard Park.
Yeah. And that may be the way this plays out in terms of that. The James Cook stuff is obviously been interesting because he's going into the last year. Saquon Barkley signs an extension. So now the top number.
How do the Eagles pay everybody?
I don't think because from what I've been told, they're, the salary cap, can keep teams from doing that. So they've figured out a way to pay him $20 million a year. So the point is not to continue to make the point that we continually make. The point is now the running back room begins with a guy making 20, not 13 or 14. So does that rise all boats?
Can you think about 3 years ago being like, there's going to be a running back that's going to make $20 million a year? Before it was like they were top 5 picks. We're asking Bean, would you even draft a running back in the first round? Let alone would you even pay them $15 million? Let alone would you pay them $20 million? The NFL is cyclical, but I also don't think that, I think that's a little bit of the overcorrection that we've said, that I've talked about after the Super Bowl. Like, man, running backs are great. You need them. You need the best ones are really good. And Saquon deserves that money. And what he has done for the Eagles in one season was insane. And the value that he brought. I just don't think that everybody should be raised with Saquon's value,
but
because not everybody's Saquon.
But don't all wide receivers get raised when when Chase is going to get paid?
It makes that baseline number go up
a little bit.
Yeah. Regardless if it's warranted or not.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because it's like the quarterback market.
Yeah.
Whoever's the highest paid quarterback isn't the best quarterback.
Yeah, resets the market, and then everyone is.
It does, and then it brings other people up, and James is in that next level.
Yes.
But to your point, maybe they want a year to see if he can handle. Listen, the guy showed a lot of improvement from year 2 to year 3. Maybe he does get on the field more. Maybe he becomes more of that closer to every down or 3 down back. So let's see how that impacts it. But I look at guys like Ty, and then I look at guys like Rasul Douglas, and I think they like Rasul Douglas.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to say, let's see. He'll go see what's out there, and then maybe there is a path to him coming back.
The Poyer life of, hey, we love you, we'd love to have you back, but feel free to go look and see, and then you come back.
What do you think his market would be?
It's a lot different than what it was after week 6.
Yeah, but there's some teams that need. I mean, the Bills are one of them.
I think
they feel like, what they have in Benford gives them that spot, and they still have Taron Johnson in the slot. So then the idea is the other guy and how much they're going to pay him. You know what they do? They put a number. This is where we would be. Yeah. And then a player like Rasul, has anybody told him?
I was just going to say
that his contract is up.
I'm not sure he now knows the playbook, but he doesn't know that his agent handles all of that.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, he's a bright guy. We're not saying this. He just said, am I in my contract year?
I'm not going to lie, though, as someone who works on contracts, sometimes I'm like, is it my contract year? You ever do that? No.
Okay. Not with millions of dollars on the line.
But that's like his paycheck. Like, I don't know. He's made a lot of money. Like, I'm not saying, is it totally preposterous? It sounds funny, but like, I also kind of think he's such a chill guy that he's like, oh,
you're
yeah,
right. But Jenna, you would have to find your contract, look it up, see all those zeros in your contract.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're just zeros.
After the death.
No, but whereas he could Google it and find out what his deal is. But
I feel like he does not.
He's also a big rollerblader. Likes to rollerblade.
No,
really?
He does not.
Yes, he does.
How do you
Catherine,
know that?
Ask Catherine Fitzgerald. They've bonded over their rollerblading. Yeah.
I am shocked.
Also, Rasul also had the best bite when we talked to him about Von being suspended, and he was like, "What?
What?"
He was like, "How long's Von out?" He's suspended. He's like, "Now?" Like, 4 games. He's like,
okay, so maybe Jenna, you're right.
Say, I don't think it's that crazy.
Well, I think they've told him by now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe he just doesn't have a deal, and he just keeps showing up in Orchard Park.
I honestly
because
would
we
not
are
be
in
shocked.
the legal. We are in the illegal tampering.
Yeah.
Before the legal tampering.
We were
because those deals
there was some illegal tampering. Just in general. Conversations.
Those deals that get signed at 12:01 just happened in 60 seconds.
Agreed upon and then signed.
Yes.
Yes. Is what will happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get the NFL on our ass.
Yeah.
What about DeMar?
I think he's gone.
Okay.
I think he will have interest around the league at the level of player that he is. Yeah. I think you know where he's going to go.
Yeah, I've said Pittsburgh. I think it just makes a lot of sense. Played at Pitt, Pittsburgh guy.
And he's made it be known that it would be cool for him to have his career go there.
And they need help in their secondary with what they're doing. So it would make a lot of sense.
And
he's earned it.
There.
And maybe he needs a fresh start with a new team. Again, you know what I'm saying?
I do. Sometimes I don't get why he gets as much hate as he gets sometimes.
The dude is a tackling machine. He takes some bad angles. Like, I'm not saying
he's perfect, but like he gets hated on to the point where I'm like,
he's a starting safety in the NFL.
He's not a liability to me.
I think he earned the right to start on this team. They need better because they are one of the best teams in the league. They need better at that position. I think his ideal role to me is third safety, special teams guy. Can he play? Yes. He is a spot starter is the way I look at him.
I think he's a little better than that. I think he's played a little bit better than that.
I agree. But like people,
you would constantly be looking.
He'd be a great third safety.
Yes,
great
as a starter. He's Levi Wallace,
which the Bills relied upon him for years,
and they kept trying to replace him. But we know he was a bad penny.
Well, he was, as Dan would say, an ugly penny.
I know. But he was one of those guys.
We need to make a clip of all the times that you've been so close on a phrase.
So close.
Yeah, but you had a couple good ones today.
You did?
Yeah.
During our podcast?
Yes. If people were listening to you earlier, I was going to mention it, but I thought, no, that's being a jerk. I'm not going to mention it. You had a few.
What did you say?
I'm not going to repeat them. They were all good. Your use of the English language was exquisite.
Okay.
In fact, you used a little Latin.
I wasn't paying attention.
I was. Am I hungover too?
Well, no, that's kind of your.
What did I say? What is it?
That's it.
I did it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Shout out. Credit to me. All right.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Wasn't even listening.
Picked his ear? Was that the one?
Oh, yeah. You did say picked his ear instead of Brandon Breen.
Well, we have a lot on that side of the ledger. We're going on the positive side here.
New season.
That's fair. Okay, so you think DeMar's gone?
Yeah, I think he's going to have opportunities. He's one of those guys. It's just my 2 cents. Like when on next what day is it? Next Monday, where it's like this happens, something big, and then DeMar Hamlin is leaving the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
it's like day one. I think he's one of those guys that it just happens quickly for him.
Do you think they would bring back DeJuan Smoot?
That would be the kind of guy I think they sign
later.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fair.
I think there have to be other dominoes that fall first before they start.
Yeah, it depends on what they decide to do in terms of that. But I could see that. And Mack Hollins, how shocked would you be if he was not on the Bills roster this upcoming season? I'd be pretty surprised.
Okay, so let's do that chart again.
1
is what you expect. 10 is Shakir.
Okay, wait. Well, what if
Shakir would be surprised?
No, okay. I'm a 1. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'd be a 2 only because I think there could be a team out there that says special teams, and he proved it on the field with his play.
Yeah.
So if you see that,
maybe the market is high.
But you are talking about a team signing a guy who is your
higher, I should say.
4th or 5th receiver.
Yeah, but he was. I agree. I'm just wondering if maybe he priced himself a little bit higher than what Buffalo would want to pay.
But the salary cap went up.
It did, but like we're talking about a decision made on a guy like Mack Hollins. It should be a little bit later.
That's fine.
You got a lot of moves to make before you're signing Mack Hollins.
Honestly, I don't know if I agree with that.
I think that's a quick, easy. Mack wants to be here.
Yep.
Oh, you're talking about for Buffalo.
Yes.
Oh, for Buffalo. No, not for Buffalo. I meant for another team to say, we got to have Mack.
No, I
wasn't listening.
I was listening, but you guys,
I see what you're saying.
I wasn't totally listening.
That's a down the line decision.
That's another hairy decision.
That's something that other teams would wait on, whereas the Bills are like, hey, we want you back. And if Mack wants to do that.
And that allows them to position what they already have.
Free the feet year 2.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
So what was your number then?
Oh, right. Low too. Like I don't think it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be surprised if he's not back.
Yeah.
Same.
I think it's a fair offer. It's more, he's earned it from for his play. And I think he has shown that he can be valuable in this offense moving forward.
And he didn't need anything done for him. Wherever they put him, he contributed.
Yeah.
But they obviously need better. But they were lucky they had him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because he made a play in the freaking AFC Championship game. So, yeah.
Davante Adams released by the Jets. What are your thoughts? He would be 32. His birthday is not until December, so he's 32.
No.
I think he is a great route runner. That is what he has been known as.
Mm-hmm.
Runs his routes. That's why he had that with Rodgers, who, Rodgers, for all of his other faults, when he's in that mode with the guy that it should work, that's the way he played. I don't think that's Josh Allen. I don't see Davante Adams being that guy.
No.
And we also saw last year is like, none of those guys worked out.
No.
Amari Cooper didn't work out.
Lazard's getting permission to ask for a trade.
But I'm talking about even Hopkins.
Have you guys asked
for
a trade yet? Have any of you guys? requested a trade from Buffalo Plus.
No.
Yeah.
I like it here.
She's waiting. Wait for more leverage.
She's requesting a trade to ESPN. She's gotten permission.
Don't show them this tape.
I don't think Adams as a player. Well, hey, look, if he came into the Bills, could he help them? Sure. I mean, he's a talented guy. I just don't think he's the right fit as a player. I don't think that's what they're looking for.
I agree.
That's fair. I think you're right too. I think of some of the guys you talked about. Like, yeah, it didn't really work out in terms of.
It's a vibe too in Buffalo. Like, I also understand that you've built enough of a culture that you are comfortable being able to take some chances on guys.
Yeah.
I believe that. Tyreek Hill, no. Still no. Don't smirk.
You literally sounded like the parent you are. No. Nope. No smirking, no.
I didn't.
Mike literally has his hands behind his back.
Most of the flight to Indy was just like, Dan, Tyreek Hill, man. I just
think that's
saying.
dumb. I just think that he's not it.
Mike's like, bad year, 6 touchdowns, almost 900 yards, down year.
He's going to end up in Kansas City.
Yes, he will.
I wouldn't be shocked.
It's annoying.
I mean, yeah.
We're done with that.
Better get some fast corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's going to, you're right. I mean, he doesn't fit. I was making the example to these guys about Randy Moss. At the time he went to New England, he was damaged goods. The Raiders, he basically quit on the Raiders on the field. Like, I'm done.
Straight cash, homie.
Out, right?
Yeah.
And comes to New England, and Brady falls in love, and they throw 50 touchdown passes that year. And he's just running by people.
Yeah.
Now,
I can't imagine a wide receiver room with Khalil Shakir driving a Subaru.
Yeah.
And then Tyreek Hill rolling in his Lamborghini.
In Western New York.
Yeah.
You put snow tires on it.
Like,
yeah.
I just don't.
I think it would be odd, but I just want to see somebody fast playing for Josh Allen.
I mean, that's fair. I think it's understandable.
They have a draft.
Yeah, they could do that.
No. That's not what they do. Anyhow, one day we were just looking, and I'm like, what about that? And there's part of me that just sees him flying up and down the field against the Bills. I would have liked to have seen it.
Drop in the comments how you feel about Tyreek Hill.
I mean, he's not going anywhere anyhow. He's
if you were to
Yeah.
join the Bills.
I know. I don't think it's happening, but
It'd be fun clickbait.
yeah.
You have talked about it quite a bit, though.
Only because I'm like, if you take that,
It would
flyer
never
on
happen in the division. It would never happen. It just doesn't. None of it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Maybe
than
that's
really
Mike's
fast.
hot take, though.
He's really fast.
He is really fast.
I mean, his
MVS,
nickname's
hey.
Cheetah.
Yeah,
You know,
hey.
Yeah.
MVS was real fast.
Yeah,
He
he's
couldn't
not there.
catch.
Yeah.
Could catch in New Orleans.
I
Caught
know.
a couple balls in
That's-
Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's fair. Let's check back in with our standings. You had MVS. You had
Curtis Samuel.
Samuel.
I'm glad it was a 2-year thing.
Yes,
so then
you
this
have-
year we'll know.
Yeah.
And I
Your
had
stock,
Khalil Shakir.
as we've said, I'm bullish on the Curtis Samuel
Can you
stock.
explain that? I know I should. What is a bull market again? That's a good thing.
Yeah, like if you buy the stock, you think you're buying it low,
Expecting it
expect
to go high. Okay.
He's on a roll today.
dialed in.
What's the opposite? A bear?
Bear.
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're teaching
Econ.
finance.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
You said
Finance.
You said it in your other Buffalo Plus video.
I am so confused because Dan is on it and Jenna's hungover.
This never, at least in my end, this never happens. Let's talk about Khalil Shakir though. He got to sign the contract officially on Monday, did a press conference. His wife, his stepmom, his dad was there. It was pretty cool to see the 4-year extension up to $60 million. And he outed himself as someone who drives a Subaru. I thought it was hilarious that it's like the man drives a Subaru, but I feel like it fits, Dan.
Especially you would know.
I
As
used to
a-
drive a Subaru.
As
yeah.
a former Subaru.
I loved my Subaru.
Oh, but
Everybody else
your
hated it,
Subaru
but-
was anything but dependable.
It was so loud.
And you know how Fred Flintstone used to drive with his feet where he could touch the ground? You could do that in Jenna's car too.
Okay,
You couldn't
it's
even
not the
take it
Subaru's
places.
fault. It was my
Right.
fault because I
Yes.
was,
And there
you
was
know,
enough dog hair in that
Yeah,
thing.
there was a lot. Could make like a
I could make so
whole
many
dog.
sweaters.
It was really dirty.
That was bad.
I love how when my dad sold it, to the guy, the poor guy who bought it. He was like, "Oh yeah, my daughter owned it. She's super clean. You know how women are."
Did he really say that?
Yeah, the poor guy. Yeah,
women, except my daughter.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
He is that guy. You described it when you did the story for the TV station. That at the end, you're like, basically, he's like that.
Yeah,
he's not flashy.
It's not flashy.
Dependable. Tough,
reliable,
all those things. Yeah, that's the way he's played.
You know what I think of is I always thought of Brian Dable talking about what he likes to see out of players, and it's smart, tough, dependable. And I think of when you think of the guys that I look to, will they re-sign this player? Will they not? It's that checklist for me. And like Khalil Shakir fits that smart, tough, dependable. And what he's been able to do, it's like now we know where the floor is. How high can the ceiling go for him? But I think when you have him in the wide receiver room, you just know that there's going to be that aspect of a dependable guy that Josh clearly already has a connection with.
It's funny. Can I just go a brief aside to another position? You said smart, tough, dependable.
Mm-hmm.
In the tight end room, I think Dawson Knox.
Yep.
And I think they want Dalton Kincaid to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not smart and he's not tough and he's not dependable. He just needs to raise all of those things up.
Greg Rousseau, smart, tough, dependable?
Yeah, I think he needs another gear, though. He's going to get paid.
I don't know if he is dependable as you would want him to be.
Yeah.
I think Tremaine Edmonds, smart, tough, dependable.
Well,
I know they're different positions, but I'm saying
dependable can almost sound like a negative because it's more like
I don't think so.
No, I'm saying it's like he's dependable.
Yeah, but if you can't clear the benchmark of dependable,
it's dependable with the smart and the tough. But then there's the next level of player, and that's why I'm saying is when you have that in Shakir, I think Shakir is he's at the low point of where he will be statistically. I think he has another gear to go. Getting him somebody on the other side will really help him.
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
Same argument I make for Greg Rousseau. I think you're probably right. It's going to happen somewhere else if he gets paid and goes somewhere else. But there hasn't been anybody. I mean, God, I like AJ Epinesa, but he did not perform at all in the pass rush this year.
Not dependable enough. I think dependable for me is the benchmark of are you a playmaker?
Oh, okay. That's not the way I was thinking.
That is how I view it. Can I depend on you to make plays in big moments? Are you dependable? Khalil Shakir, smart, tough, dependable, can make big plays.
Yeah.
Guy like Tremaine Edmonds, smart, tough, could not depend on you to make a big play in a big moment.
That's an interesting way to use that word. That's not the way I was thinking of it. I was thinking of it as like, he's a good dude. He'll show up. He'll be there. But no. I mean, you mean show up. Show up.
I mean show up.
Yeah.
Terrell Bernard, smart, tough, dependable.
Yeah.
Christian Benford, smart, tough, dependable. James Cook, smart, tough, dependable.
Dion.
You got a little presidential thumb.
That's it.
But like Dalton Kincaid, not dependable enough for me.
Not enough. No, that's what I'm saying is he needs
That's what I'm saying.
And they need him to be tougher, bigger, stronger.
Like
all
I
those
think
things.
it makes it a kind of like a binary thing in my head of like, are you dependable enough? Are you not smart enough, but like tough enough? Like all these things.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think it's fair.
It's the flow chart. Are you smart? Yes. Continue. Are you?
Wow.
I don't know. Well, what's another
hungover Jen is fun.
What's another guy that we can do the litmus test with for them to resign?
You talking about a free agent?
Just in general. Preferably one on the team.
I don't. Oh, I'm saying are we talking about their guys who are right now free agents?
No, I guess just go through it. Like name a player.
Well, you said Bernard.
Yeah.
He should get a new deal with the team.
Yeah. He's also a captain on the team when there was two captains.
Right.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
That tells you that. No, the other guys, honestly, that are currently on the team, that's why I say you mentioned I think DeMar's a good player, but they got to be better.
Yeah.
Right? I think Rasul's a good player. They got to be better there.
That's fair.
I think, like AJ Epinesa is a decent player. And he's been out there, played a lot of snaps for them, has made a few big plays. Not enough, and certainly not enough to be starting on the end.
It's totally fair. If you can get it upgrade, you go for it. But if you can't,
Well, they've done that. Now you absolutely need the upgrade. Daquan Jones.
He was not.
Was more, but not anymore.
Yeah. I need to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
And I need you to take some of your Philly out, but I also need your Philly, enough Philly. I need you to turn down your Philly a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Darius Slay got anything left in the tank?
Darius Slay's played really well for them in the playoffs and good. I don't see him as a guy you say, come to Buffalo at 34 years old. He wants to go back to Detroit. I think that's where he's going to end up. He kind of said, the Eagles released him before and reworked it and brought him back. It was after the Super Bowl. And he came back and he was great. He's a talker, good interview, a lot of chirping that goes on. But he's an older player. He can still run, though.
I guess
he can still run. I don't see him. I think that's where he's going to go. End of his career.
Like I think about some of these guys in free agency, and you always think about like, oh, it's going to be this long of a deal or this long of a deal or this guy. You see him as you're trying to rework things. There are stopgaps, and hey, this guy comes in. You see it more with quarterbacks of just hey, for a year while they try and figure out. I just wonder at other positions, and like I said, they've tried to do it a little bit with whether it was Dwayne Smoot or Austin Johnson. Like there are guys that will just fill holes for the time being. I didn't know if there was any juice left to squeeze out of a guy that made a bunch of Pro Bowls, is a really good player. Yeah. I wanted you to take your Philly out of it a little bit because it can be so critical, because I've seen Slay sucks, doesn't make all these things.
No, he's very well liked, and I think he was great. And, sometimes he has podcasts, he does a little talking, and sometimes people take it away, but he played really well. I just think they've made a decision on him. Hey, but there's also a thought that he still ends up back there because, the cap and all that stuff. So we'll see what they end up doing. By the way, go ahead. I'm going to let you guys keep going ahead. Then there was something I was going to bring up. If we're going to do a credit to me?
I was going to do credit to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So
it'll be for my credit to me.
Okay.
You what?
It'll be for my credit to me.
Okay. Go ahead.
Later on this week, I think we originally planned on having an interview in this, but this one kind of went longer. But Mike Giardi on the Patriots, obviously top of the draft, their needs. He pretty much says everybody. So we'll have that interview coming up. We caught up with Janae Coakley
from the Jets,
Jets SNY reporter. We
going from Aaron to Aaron, in charge,
and then we also have more in depth with Chris Trapasso from CBS Sports.
Yep.
Him on more draft prospects as we get closer to the draft, as well as Matt Harmon from Reception Perception podcast.
So draft stuff.
Yep. So all of that stuff will also be coming in the next.
And when something happens, we're ready for a quick emergency pod.
Reminder, you can find our audio only podcast available wherever you listen to your podcast. Buffalo Plus, be sure to subscribe there.
Once a top 10 sports podcast in the country.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you're top 10 once, you can just say a top 10.
Yeah,
you don't designate when.
That's totally fine. It's not a post-June designation on the salary cap. We were a top 10
podcast.
Those designations on the podcast are real, unlike
the salary cap.
All right, go to your credit to me, sir.
I'm first.
Oh,
no, I think you got to be first.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My credit to me is very simple. Credit to my sister. She planned an amazing bachelorette. It was so much fun. Me and my girlfriends, we went down to Delray, which I'd never been there. Mike and Dan were not invited.
Well, I don't understand that at all. I was weren't you disappointed?
I thought I was going to get the credit to you guys for letting me take all this time off while we worked.
I thought it was going to be like,
wow, that would have been really good.
That would have been really good.
We would have been a lot of fun down there.
Yes.
No, but she did such a good job. She was nervous because she wanted me to have fun, and I had a blast. So it was really nice to get away. Thank you to Mike and Dan for working. Because
we do it all.
The vacation time was nice. Seeing the sun that still exists was awesome, and it was a lovely trip.
Your face still shows
I'm so puffy. I'm so puffy. I don't drink that much anymore, and I drank, obviously, and
What was the drink?
High Noons. Okay, I also tried the High Noons, also espresso martinis, High Noons.
Espresso teenies.
And then the High Noon teas, like the iced teas. I like those a lot because they're non-carbonated.
Correct. Those are big for us when we go to the lake house.
Well, we were like on the water. We did a boat day. We did a beach day.
Yep.
We did a club day or a club night. It was so funny. They brought over the sparklers and like the sign that said Jenna. And I literally tried to like go under. I was just like, this is not, my friends like to embarrass me, but it was very fun. Thank you, Alyssa.
Nice.
Love you.
Good. We're good.
Michael?
Well, credit to me. I'm very open-minded and flexible about everything.
Where are we going with this?
So, no, it's like even my takes on things. I look at them sometimes and then I get more information and then I can change my thinking. You two would refer to it as
Flip-flopping.
Flip-flopping. I tend to think of it as being evolved. And I think of a certain thing and then I go, you know what? I have thought about it more clearly and now I have changed my opinion. And I think I'm good at that.
Okay,
So that brings me to...
Exactly. Greg Rousseau.
No, not specifically about that. They're making a big move.
Hey!
They're making a big move.
Get the sign out for Mike.
No, I came back from Combine.
He's on the good side.
I came back from the Combine where Dan and I got a lot of information.
Yes.
I wish people knew. They really know what it's like in Indy that week. It's great.
Hey, you guys don't take me.
Side note. One, you don't want to go. You don't like it. You
Yes,
just want to go to the
you
steakhouse.
stay home.
Steakhouse was great. Medium rare plus. We didn't give an Elmo's review.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
It's great.
We did talk to an NFL GM.
Yes.
And I asked.
Not Brandon Bean.
Not Brandon Bean.
We did talk to him, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He pretty much agreed with me that the salary cap wasn't real.
At least that's the way I heard it.
That was the way I heard it too.
And he's a successful GM.
And the fact that we started talking.
And by the way, this was in a bar.
Yeah.
Just us talking to him, which was kind of fun.
And the fact that Mike's like, look, Mike was giving me the look like, you're going to say it, aren't you? You're going to go up to this NFL GM and you're going to do your bit, aren't you?
Yes.
And I was like, it was like a dog when you hold a treat in front of his face. I was like, yeah, you bet I was going to do it. And it was very refreshing to have an NFL GM be like, yeah, I can pretty much do whatever you want.
But then he said, where's that coffee mug?
It was great.
So that was good.
So you're all in.
I do think so because I started to really think, and here's some of the things Bean was saying. Now, look, it may not work. It's no guarantee. Like, right,
Yeah.
they could make a play for Myles Garrett or one of these other players, and it doesn't work. But I think their plan is to make a splash this year. And you know, it's like they ate their vegetables last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this year they're going for the steak
Medium rare plus.
And they're
Yeah.
going to make the effort for it. And Bean said, you know, he's like, I have these conversations all the time.
Yeah.
But this has ramped up a little bit. And I know I've seen, you know, Myles Garrett with the Eagles. They have a lot of other moves to make.
Yeah.
They got other people to pay.
Yeah.
And you're coming off that. But other teams will be in on it, and Cleveland will trade him.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to trade him.
Yeah.
Not saying the Bills get him. I say they make an attempt at a big splash, and they're due for one.
Yeah.
They are due for one. So again, evolved. It's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Keep swinging.
Men.
I love
It's
how you
not
preface it
flip-flop.
like that.
It's
No, you know what? I will say, I think it is important if you get more information and just in general, you can evolve. But we are going to hold you to it that you originally did not say that.
Oh, why does that matter now?
Okay,
nothing
Dan,
has happened.
You're doing the Dan.
Nothing has happened. It
Okay,
isn't
fine.
like I said it. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, Bills made a move. Oh, yeah. Now I believe this. No, I'm saying this well in advance of free agency. That's why I go to the Combine. That.
Yeah. And Elmo's.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
I'm going to recycle one.
Oh.
But it's something I'm passionate about.
Oh,
Bourbon.
Nope.
I feel like there's.
Do you know where I'm going?
Atlanta Braves.
Nope.
Your wife.
Planes.
Oh.
Freaking planes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I drove up to Buffalo on Monday for Khalil Shakir's press conference, and the cranes, Dan also loves cranes. They were buzzing around. The stadium is going up so fast.
The credit is to all the things that I don't understand. I don't understand how planes fly. Okay, so I've gone over that, but again, I don't understand how cranes work. I don't understand tunnels. If there's anybody out there that is a pilot,
I already talked. I'll get our pilot. We'll get him on the podcast.
I just want to talk to
Brian. We're going to get him on the podcast. We'll call him.
And also, anybody that has flown, I flew all the time before kids, never had a problem at all. I am now a very uncomfortable flyer. Not only with everything else that's going on in the world in general, but it just is. I did 6 flights last week because my daughter had a doctor's appointment down in New York City.
Oh, that is a lot.
So we did 2 flights there. The plane is bouncing a little bit with the turbulence. My daughter's just eating snacks on her tablet. I'm just like, we're going down. We are. This is it.
Daniel.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. But shout out to pilots that understand what's going on in the cockpit, like all of that stuff. Shout out to the engineers. But it is, and you know what? I have a little bit of a bone to pick. We flew Southwest to Indy.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So we were,
it's okay.
It's Southwest. It's wild to watch people load on a plane in Southwest. It is just
it has
wild.
to
With the
end.
bags.
It has to end.
No, it's just because they're picking their own seats.
It has to
end. Wild.
It is anarchy. It is pure chaos.
I kind of like it.
Oh, it is the worst.
But when you're sitting
but
there,
I also like set my alarm. Like, so if my flight's at 6 a.m., I'm waking up at 6 a.m.
When you are watching people get on the plane.
45. I am like
the flight attendant said like 20 times. Basically, she's like, this flight is not full. Rare flight that wasn't full. She goes, you won't be in a middle seat unless you really want one. You talk about me not listening or Dan not listening. I don't know what people were listening to. They have no idea. Like, there are more seats.
But you also have that time when, okay, you've got the aisle and the window seat, and you know that people now have to pick the middle seat. And you're just like, you're not trying to look at some people. You're trying to look and be like, hey, you can sit here, man. Like, you can sit here because you don't want to get the uncomfortable flight with somebody else. So it was anarchy. And the one thing I didn't like about Southwest, the pilot never spoke to us. I need a heads up.
What about, wait a minute. Tell him last time we were landing in Rochester.
It was after the Kansas City flight, and it was a windy day. And the pilot's like, yeah, there's some wind in Rochester, but I'm pretty confident we'll be able to land. I'm
fairly confident. Direct quote. I'm fairly confident we can land the plane. It was like,
and he goes,
fairly?
But I put extra fuel in the tank if we need to circle around a couple times. I was like, that's too much info.
Yeah.
That was too much.
I don't need to hear from the pilot.
This was honestly last week, I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know altitude. I wanted to know what he thought of it. There were a couple times the flight home, they were serving drinks. And I think that was the one you were next to me.
Yeah.
And like, we started to hit some turbulence and they bailed.
Yeah. Like, they were done. They were done.
Dude, like they
I've
left
seen
the
that
cart.
happen.
They did the 40.
They left the cart.
Like they pushed the cart and like got back. Like, like the stewardess bumped into a couple people on the way back. And I was like, this is it.
That's terrible. Are you an aisle or
I'm normally a window seat guy. That's the only thing. I just fall asleep.
Yeah.
I could always fall asleep on planes. It was like a superpower that I had. I can fall asleep anywhere. And now I'm way too paranoid and anxious on flights. I'm not good.
You gotta get that dream water.
I gotta do something because
aisle's the place to be. You gotta be on the
aisle. I like the aisle. Unless it's a red eye. I do like the window.
Because then nobody's gonna bug you.
So shout out to pilots for getting a metal tube into the sky and then landing it safely on the ground.
I saw a meme that was like, it's now okay to clap again when a plane lands.
I know. I the other day I was like, I'm gonna clap at this one because like we were a little bumpy coming in, and I was just like,
no, I know. I've been on a flight before, and Dad's like, do you feel that? I'm like, well, we are in the air. Like it's okay.
I research now. Now I research like what turbulence is.
What is turbulence?
It's air pockets.
It's air like when warm air and cold air.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And this one guy was trying to explain it. It's like, yeah, you're dropping thousands of feet in the air, but it's like you're in jello. So like, don't freak out. Like the air is different there.
That's
I'm a little bit anxious just like talking about it. We don't have to fly for a little while, so I'm okay.
Yeah, I can actually pick up on that.
Yeah,
how anxious you feel. Yeah. I feel totally chill.
I need a gummy. I'm gonna need to do something for flights now.
Yeah,
because I'm not. I used to be great.
Yeah,
it was like land this thing. I don't care. Now it's like my family.
You know, some families won't travel
all
together. Yeah. I didn't realize. One of my girlfriends told me that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. All right.
Quick shout out. Jack ran into him at the gym. Loves the podcast. Jack, thanks for watching.
Shout out Wade. You know who you are.
That's it.
Big fan of Buffalo Plus. Always been a Bills fan. Thank you for watching.
Nobody talked to you about the pod?
Nobody talks to Dan.
Some guy at a hockey game yesterday said, or I was in Wegmans, and he was like, hey, love your show. And I was like in pajama pants and a ripped up hoodie. And
Thank you, some guy.
Yeah.
That'll really hit home.
That's it. He's like, oh, Dan mentioned me.
I'm that guy in Wegmans. He was dressed like a homeless person.
Although I will say, when we are out in the Rochester area and someone says they love Buffalo Plus, that makes me very excited.
Yes.
It's the coolest thing ever.
Like, we work at a TV station, so sometimes people recognize us from that, but the Buffalo Plus is cool.
The cool moment also that we had, Diana Rossini, who we are going to get on the channel.
Yes.
We were talking to her at the NFL Combine.
We're going to refer to her as friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
She hasn't been on yet.
Yeah.
Got to
she
get her a
is friend
hat
of
or
the
something.
pod.
Yes.
Yes.
And she was like, oh, yeah, like we know Bill's podcast, all these things. She's like, wait, what's your guys' podcast name? We said Buffalo Plus. She's like, oh, yeah, see you guys all the time on YouTube. And it was like, and I kind of took a step back and she's like, what? And I was like, I'm a fanboy here for a little bit. That's pretty freaking cool. And she's like, I say the same thing when people say they listen to Scoop City. So
that's cool.
It. That's her pod. So.
All right. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We always appreciate it. And remember to check out the audio podcast available wherever you find your podcast, conveniently named Buffalo Plus. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time here on Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris.